Turkey. I've never been. It looks like I can't really go anytime soon. So what's the best way of visiting a country from the comfort of your own home? No, not Google Maps. It's the kitchen. And we'll be making two different things. First, simit, which is also known as Turkish bagels. And then we're going to be making some delicious baklava. Yeah, but let's start with the simit since it needs to ferment. Let's go. In a bowl, add some flour, active dry yeast, salt, water, and vegetable oil. I used olive oil in my case. Give it a little mix till everything comes together, adding a little bit more flour as you go if it's needed. Once everything is together, knead for about 10 minutes until the dough doesn't stick to the bowl anymore. Cover it and let it rest. While this rests a little bit, we can get started on the baklava. And we'll be making two versions. The traditional one with pistachios, and then I'll be putting a little twist in it, but you gotta wait a second to see that one. But first, let's get a little clarified butter. To do this, we just need to very slowly, on the lowest heat possible, melt some butter. This will cause the butter fat to separate from the milk solids and the water. We remove the solids from the top with a little spoon, and then slowly and very carefully pour the delicious gold butter fat into a separate container. Done. Now let's talk about the dough. Baklava dough is this thing called phyllo, or at least I think that's how you say it, that's crazy thin. And while I like making everything by hand on this show, I was watching a guy make it on TV and just honestly, I got scared. So I went to the supermarket and I got some! Yay! So now that we have this, the only thing we're missing before our assembly is the pistachios. So let's take care of those. All we need to do here is peel a bunch of them. Halfway through it, remember that Portugal is playing for the Handball World Cup and take it to the living room to finish the job. Once Portugal has won, give them a little blitz and we're ready to assemble. Get an oven-ready pan and cut the phyllo dough to size. Brush it with a bunch of clarified butter and we're gonna start layering. The layering process is actually pretty straightforward. Between every layer of dough, we're gonna brush some more butter. After you have a few on the bottom, maybe like 6, we can start layering pistachios. And you can do as many layers of pistachios as you want, but remember between the pistachio layers, you do some more layers of dough. And at the top, just remember to finish with a few more layers of dough and butter. Always butter. There's a bit of a war between many ethnic groups and cultures that claim that they are the true inventors of the baklava. But its current form was probably developed in the imperial kitchens of the Topkapi Palace in 17th century Istanbul. The Sultan presented trays of baklava to the janissaries, his personal bodyguards, every 15th of the month of Ramadan. But different cultures have different variations of the dish. For example, in Greece, they use 33 layers of phyllo, referring to the years of Christ's life. In Armenia, they use walnuts and flavor the syrup with cinnamon and cloves. And there are many, many more. And I'm sure all of them are incredible. Now we put it in the oven at 180 degrees Celsius for around 45 minutes. While that's in the oven, we can work on the syrup. In a saucepan, get some water and sugar. Bring it to a boil, lower the heat, and let it low boil for around 15 minutes. After which, you gotta get it off the heat and let it cool down with some lemon juice and a lemon slice. Remove the baklava from the oven, let it cool for a couple minutes, and then pour over your room temperature syrup. And the trick here is to use cooled syrup on the hot pastry to avoid it from going soggy. Now just let it cool all the way down for at least a few hours. In the meantime, the simit dough should be ready. Look at it, it has doubled in size. So just punch it down and divide it into 8 equal parts. Equal-ish. For the assembly, we're gonna need some sesame seeds and a mix of water and grape molasses. You can buy it in some specialty stores here in Portugal, but I decided to make my own. So just get a bunch of grapes and extract all of the juice you can from them. You can use any type of grape you like. Put the juice in a stock pot and just boil it for a couple hours until it reduces into about 1/3 of the original amount. The sugars in the juice will caramelize, and you'll end up with a honey-like substance that's delicious. Mix equal part molasses and water, and let's shape these bagels. Get a little dough ball and roll it into a snake. Once it's long enough, fold it in half and twist it. This might be easier to look at what I'm doing than to listen to me. Then you're gonna pinch the ends to get a closed loop. Dunk it in the liquid mix and then in the seeds. Put it on the side on a baking tray lined with parchment paper. Simit is probably Turkey's quintessential street food, and it has a long history in Istanbul, where some archival sources show that it has been produced since the 16th century. Nowadays, Turks of all ages eat it at breakfast, on a ferry boat ride accompanied by some tea, or as an afternoon snack. Its affordability, availability, and filling nature truly make it a popular community food. The simit is a staple food item that is readily accessible either from the town bakeries, simit wagons, and men on the street steadily balancing a massive tray on their head. After all the rolling and twisting, you'll end up with something like this. Generally, they're a little bit larger and with bigger holes, but I didn't really have the space for them. Now we put them in the oven, preheated at 200 degrees Celsius for around 25 minutes. Now that we're done with traditional, let's make my version of baklava. We're gonna do a spicy baklava. So in a blender, put some roasted and badly peeled hazelnuts, some dark chocolate, some roasted coconut, and a couple teaspoons of cayenne pepper. Oh, and just a little bit of sugar. Blitz it and then taste to assess how strong the kick is. Mine is on point. Now the process is the same. Between layers of dough and butter, we're gonna put our spicy chocolate filling. Then we put it in the oven, remove it, and while it's still hot, we pour our cold syrup. And now, it's time for some sexy B-roll shots. Those traditional ones were great, but you should really try this spicy one. Everybody knows and loves the combination of chocolate and hazelnut, and then once you're dealing with all the sweetness from the syrup and the chocolate, the cayenne pepper comes from the back and gives you a little Oh, it's such a good combo. So good. So while I eat this one, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode of World Food. And also, comment down below which other country we should visit. See ya! It's so good. Oh, and now the spice comes kicking in. It's so good. Try it. Oh, I want another one. See ya!